On today's episode of Capstone Talent Talks, we are joined by Lynsey Partlow, Service Director at AVK and one of the top 100 women in data centres for 2025. Lynsey sits right at the heart of operations in our industry with a real focus on people, skills and building high-performing teams within critical environments. She's also a strong voice on the future of talent, using her platform to highlight the growing skills shortage as the sector scales. She brings a brilliantly grounded view on what it actually takes to keep data centres running and how we develop the people behind them. Lynsey, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you for inviting me.
No problem. So let's start at the beginning. Let's start with how you got into data centres, or rather the beginning of your career and how that has ended you up where you are now.
Okay. So when I actually was leaving school, I actually wanted to be a paramedic. So I must have had a bit of a desire to be in a fast-paced environment where the pressure was on. Anyway, I never ended up doing that, and I fell into a career as a personal assistant to start with, so supporting operations directors, managing directors, so really got a kind of high-level view of how businesses operate. And then I moved into a training role, so working for a training business that specialised in technical training delivery, and I suppose that's where I got my first look at how difficult it was to find the right people within various technical skill sets. I progressed through to then be head of training at British Gas, so working within a gas and electrical world, but more B2B rather than domestic, and stayed there for almost 18 years. But whilst being there, kind of moved on to some projects, which meant that I got experiencing kind of like the program management team, customer operations, field operations delivery, and then almost 3 years ago, moved across to AVK to head up their service division. So always been in and around power and technical field operations, but obviously moved from a gas and electrical perspective over into the power solution organisation that I'm with now.
Great.
And
So tell us,
how did you find that transition then? Sorry, how did you find that going from British Gas 18 years and kind of seeing all parts of that business and then going into AVK in the DC space?
So it was a challenge to start with, because you're going from a huge corporate into a business that's we're around 350 employees now, but the pace that AVK runs at is actually it's amazing, you know. Whereas British Gas was more, I suppose, often referred to as a cruise liner. You know, it was a vast business, but slow to change, slow to move. AVK is more like the speedboat, you know, going in and around and changing at pace. And you can get things done a hell of a lot quicker at AVK, which was great. And so I hit the ground running there, and you know, really got stuck into what we needed to do to keep up with the pace that AVK was seeing and the amount of business that was coming our way, which is really exciting and a great opportunity for everyone that's involved. So yeah, it was great. I'm still enjoying it now. The challenges continue. The amount of business that's coming our way, especially in Europe, is tremendous. And I think we're helping our clients solve their challenges for power needs, really, because the grid constraints, the permits are slow to come through, and we need the power, right? So AVK is in a great position to be able to provide that, whether that be critical backup, whether that be a microgrid, looking at all sorts of alternatives to open the doors for our clients, really.
So for those who might not know AVK, because this is listened to by a real range of people, some who are just trying to understand the ecosystem and trying to navigate their way through. Tell us a bit about AVK, and how would you describe the work that you do as a business and the role that you play?
Okay, so AVK is a power solutions business. We've been operating now for, I think it's 36 years. We were initially founded by Chris Pritchard. His son, Ben Pritchard, is now our CEO. We I suppose in the past, we predominantly focused on critical backup power in the financial industry, and then more latterly into the data center industry. We've realised and recognised that our clients' power needs are evolving, and we've now moved into varying different types of technology. So moving away from the standard diesel backup power, we now do diesel HVO, gas-fired generation, medium high speed. We also do microgrids, battery energy storage. We have our own range of SCRs so that we can monitor and control emissions. We have our own control panels division. So we're really a one-stop shop for our clients really to come to us, to talk to us about what they need, what they're looking for, and we'll create and design a solution to suit that.
So for you as service director, talk us through a week in the life of your role.
Okay, so there's two types of weeks. When you're a service director, you have an amazing week where you go home on a Friday and you've achieved a hell of a lot. Or there can be a week where you feel like you have, had everything thrown at you. So my role as service director is to make sure that all of the assets that AVK install are serviced and maintained, and that they're always at their optimum performance, and that they're always there when required. Obviously, the different types of installations that we do now means that the level of demand on those assets is rapidly changing. So critical backup needs to be there when the power goes off, right? When it's a prime power microgrid, that needs to be there all the time because that's their prime power source. So the demands from the clients is always evolving, and it's up to my team to make sure that they're always maintained. And that goes from, and my responsibility goes from everything from selling the contract, renewing the contract, the account management, the planning, the scheduling, the billing, through to technical delivery, warehouse and parts management, through to the academy as well. So it's quite a wide ranging role. And, as I said, you can have an amazing week, or you can have loads of call outs in a week and feel like you've earned that glass of wine on a Friday night.
And are you finding that, a lot of the business at the moment is UK? Is it stretching into Europe? I know obviously you've done the microgrid with Pure over in Ireland. So, I mean,
yes.
Where are you sort of seeing that you're busiest at the moment?
Okay, so obviously UK, we've got a vast array of contracts and clients because we've been established here for 36 years. In the UK, we've been evolving there for, maybe the last 3-4 years. So service is always around 2 years behind the main project build, because it takes that long for the data center to get up and running. So 18 months to 2 years is when service tends to get involved. So we are now mobilized and established in Frankfurt, in Lelystad, in the Netherlands, and we are now moving into Berlin, Lisbon. So there's a lot, and we're also looking at some projects in and around Madrid as well. So there's a lot going on for AVK outside of the UK. Obviously, we've been established in Ireland now for some time, and have got a strong service base there as well.
So you're just going to get busier, aren't you? you're going to be. And do you need to travel quite a bit as well for your role?
I do, yes. So obviously, because I've got teams in all of our AVK offices, I do tend to travel quite a bit. So I'm actually out with some colleagues in a couple of weeks out in Athens, because I'm sitting on an expert panel out there at an event. And yeah, I enjoy it though. I enjoy going out and seeing all of our clients and seeing our teams on a regular basis. I think it's important to be present when you're managing such a large team.
So the teams that report into you, or the functions that report into you, tell us a bit about that to give us a feel for, how technical they are and how hands-on versus maybe broader skills.
Okay, so within service, there's two key functions. There's client operations and technical services. So our client operations function is made up of sales, account management, and kind of customer operations. So like a bit of a contact center environment. They're dealing with incoming calls, they're scheduling, they're mobilizing engineers, they're dealing with call outs, etc. And then we've got our technical services function, where we have all of our field delivery. So that's in Ireland, in the Netherlands, in Frankfurt, and in the UK. They all report into the same structure so that we've got consistency of delivery and training and paperwork and technical standards. We then have a warehousing depot there as well, so that they control all of our depots, make sure we've got all of the right parts available for all of our assets and stock flows, etc., and monitoring van stocks for the engineers. We have our AVK Academy, which sits in that function, and we also have our technical estimating as well. So they're the guys that do all of the quotations for any defects and remediation that we pick up on the back of our servicing works. So we've got quite a broad range of skills within the service team. We've got people who are, you know, sales professionals, customer experience professionals, all the way through to our academy apprentices coming through, and then we've got level 1 engineers who are our subject matter experts who are out there coming up with the solutions when they encounter a problem on site.
And that's kind of why I asked, because it's the range of roles within the sector that I think is one of the absolute joys of it, isn't it? You've not come in from a technical background yourself, but you know, you're in this senior service delivery role, leading really technical people as well as broader customer services. And I know that Oli was really keen to talk to you about the academy piece, which you've touched on. So I'll let Oli to ask you that.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to follow on with that because you mentioned it before, and I think, you know, given the range of roles there that are clearly kind of, you know, all on the AVK team, and that's probably from the kind of manufacturing right the way through to, you know, delivery and so on. How did that kind of come about? And, you know, tell us a bit more about that, because it seems like a great initiative.
It is. It's something that we're quite proud of, really, AVK. Obviously, being in my earlier roles in my career, as I said, I recognised quite early that there were some challenges on finding the right people within certain skills and trades, and then obviously being involved in training academies, delivering internal and external training at a B2B level. I knew we weren't on our own in this space, and when I joined AVK, we were really struggling to recruit engineers. It's a small resource pool. Unfortunately, it's a maturing resource pool as well. We were struggling to find people. We had loads of adverts. CVs coming across the desk were very few and far between. And also the training that was available to support our industry. It was good training, but it wasn't ticking all of our boxes. We kind of had to do the training and then come in and add some reworks to it. And even when we found good engineers, we were kind of having to go back a little bit to retrain them to get them to where we needed them to be. So having a conversation with Ben Pritchard, who's our CEO, and having a little bit of a moan at him about it, how I was struggling to recruit and how the training wasn't great, he was like, so let's go and fix it. Let's go and create something, which is great. And that's the difference with being at AVK. You know, you don't just have to accept that there's a problem. We can actually go and create a solution for it. So that's what we did. So me and a few colleagues decided that, you know, we were going to go down this academy route, and we started to put things in motion, and we got it mobilized for level 4 engineers within 10 months. So we took our first intake into AVK in October 2024. They successfully completed their first year with us, and they've now been promoted from a level 4 engineer into a level 3, which is great. And they've really taken a lot from it, but we've taken a lot from them. So when we did their endpoint assessments, we actually asked them how they felt it had gone, and took some feedback from them and put that into practice then for the next cohort that came through the door. So we've predominantly focused on service. So I was a little bit selfish there. You know, it was us building the academy. We were doing it to create our own engineers organically and to create our own internal pipeline of talent into the industry. But now we're ready to kind of broaden the horizons of that now, and broaden the scope of offerings so that other areas in AVK can utilize that function and kind of take the pattern that we've created and make it relevant to them. And we've also started to use some of our, I suppose, informative kind of classroom-based modules to strengthen our induction and also to educate our clients on the product that they've just had installed on their site as well.
That's incredible. So how many, so the first year, how many apprentices did you take on in the one?
We started small
Yeah.
because we needed to appoint them a mentor. So we have 4 levels of engineering within service. We have level 4, which is our intake, through to level 1, which is our subject matter expert. So what we did with our level 1s was we put them on a training course on how to be a mentor, so that they could give feedback, they could critique, they knew how to coach, ask the right questions to ascertain whether, you know, the level of understanding was there. And we don't have a huge pool of our level 1s. So we wanted to get this right. We didn't want to bring in a class of 10 and lose people because they didn't feel like they were enjoying the journey, or the journey wasn't crafted right for them. So we started small and brought in 3. And then this next cohort, we went for 4, but unfortunately only brought in 3. And then this September September 26th, we're going to bring in another 4. Because while we're doing that, we're kind of developing the talent pool from level 4 to 3, 3 to 2, and 2 into 1. So eventually we'll have enough level 1s that they can all have a trainee and a mentor relationship.
That's brilliant. And actually what I love about that is that it also, from a business perspective, you're imparting really specialist knowledge and expertise throughout the business, but you're also developing those level 1s to be more than the subject matter experts and actually able to mentor and, you know, from their own personal development. I mean, we're all about mentoring at Capstone. We love it, and we know we really see the value for the mentor as well as the mentees. So I'm sure that they got something from that program as well in terms of building other skills out.
Yeah, I think the engineers have really, they've really come on the journey with us, in that they recognise that now we've got these development pathways, there's an opportunity for everyone to sharpen their skills, do more training. You know, you don't have to stay at level 3 if you don't want to. You can if you're comfortable, and that's where, you know, you're happy and you're at your best, then great. But if you want to do more and take on more responsibility, there is that pathway there now for people to do that, because there's nothing worse than not having the opportunity to be trained and to do more. And if we don't do that, someone else will. You know, we're all desperate for this talent, aren't we, within the industry? AVK recognises that if we don't develop and invest in our own people, that our competitors will. So we would rather grow our talent and work with them to get them where they need to be than lose them out the door.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I mean, retention's such a big part of it, isn't it, at the moment, in particular? And if you kind of, through what you've done there, that sort of culturally within the business, that kind of that sense of career development that's going to spread even further now, because it's moving just beyond from beyond the engineer roles into other parts of the business too. That's going to filter through, isn't it? And that kind of sense of development is going to help retain people, which is really important.
It is, definitely.
Help if I unmuted myself. When you look at the apprentices coming through, what's their background? Are they school leavers, or have they completed A levels? What stage are they? And what are you noticing about their profile, their background, their interests, or their skills base as well, that you weren't expecting?
We've had a bit of a mix come through. We've had some of the guys have come through and they've just done A levels and they're looking for the next opportunity. Some have already finished their further education and gone out into a role, and it's perhaps not been for them, or they've not felt that they've had the support and the development that they anticipated. All of them tend to have a strong passion for mechanical and engineering type aspects. they're, you know, I sometimes feel like I'm their mother, which is great, because, you know, they've come in, they're school leavers, they're 18, and they're looking for a future career, and they've just flourished. You know, one of them in particular, you know, that his confidence and his outlook is just completely just flourished. He's taken every single opportunity put in front of him. You know, we sent the first cohort, went out to do some specialist engine training. They went out to Abu Dhabi. They were out there for 2 weeks, and they've absolutely loved it. You know, they have really, everything that AVK has asked them to do, they have embraced it, and you know, really kind of come for the challenge.
That's amazing. And how many applications do you get for every one that you hire? Is it really competitive to get them? Because I was just even watching the news last night. There was just a huge piece around youth unemployment for graduates and school leavers, and it's, you know, the challenges that they face are huge compared to when we were graduating.
So when we did the first cohort, we actually didn't get that many applicants. And I think it was because it was new, and also I think we were a little bit late in getting our profile out there. You know, I think everyone who's looking for what's coming next, they start very early. So if I use my own example with my 15-year-old son, he's already started his college applications, etc. Like started them back end of last year, ready for leaving school in this summer term. So we were a little bit late getting out there, and we took the learnings from that. So now when we start talking about the academy cohort for September 26, we're already out there talking about it, so that we're capturing our potential talent before they've even done their exams, which has meant that we started to get a hell of a lot more applications through the door. On the second cohort, before we had even opened the applications, I had people reaching out to me on LinkedIn and on email saying, when are you opening the applications for this? Which was brilliant, because go back 2.5 years when I was having the conversation with Ben saying I'm struggling to find engineers, I had people now coming to me saying, I want to come to you, how can I apply? Which means it's completely done full 360, which is brilliant.
I love that.
That's so good, isn't it? I mean, to be in that position now, and then that's going to be extended further through the business. I mean, I guess with all of the business that's happening for AVK as well, that's just increasing. I mean, this is just going to get bigger for you, isn't it, in terms of the academy?
It is, because to be honest, we wouldn't be able to keep pace with everything that's come in, that's on the horizon for us. We wouldn't be able to keep pace if we weren't doing something to address the skills gap in the industry. That's one of the questions I get asked by a lot of our clients all the time when I go out to meetings with them. Where are you finding your engineers? How are you keeping up with all of these new installations that you're doing? And in the very, very early stages of my career with AVK, I didn't really have an answer. Whereas now I go, well, let me tell you about the academy, and off we go. So, and also for our clients as well, the fact that we are investing so much in our people, and that we are growing our engineers organically, and that they have a full understanding of the AVK product installation, gives them more confidence that we're not just sending anyone to maintain their assets. We're actually sending someone that's actually grown up with it and has been you know, vastly trained on that product and understands it fully.
So what's your view on that the perception or the reality of the skills shortage in the industry? You know, is it an awareness issue? Is it to do with pipelining? Is it something, you know, that goes beyond that? Because, you know, it comes up all the time, and as you just sort of referenced there, but obviously you've got the academy, and that's one part of what's making a difference for you. But what's your kind of view on that across the sector more broadly?
So I think the data center industry is it's still young, isn't it? It's what, 30 years ish old. It's the industry that kind of hides in plain sight. So I think everyone knows that there's a data center, right? But no one really knows what they are, what they do. I think everyone thinks that to work with a data center, you've got to be a data center engineer. I don't think they realize that there's a whole ecosystem of careers that sit around the data center industry, such as finance and marketing and a people, human resources function. And because they are so good at hiding in plain sight, I think people tend to overlook them and don't realize that they're there. And then obviously there's the broader skills gap in that, going back to the mid 2000s, there was a real drop off of investment in training and apprenticeships, which has truly started to bite across the entirety of the workforce, whether you are a gas trained employee or an electrical trained employee. And now I think we're starting to really feel the pain of that. And we've got a highly skilled workforce that are now at the mature end of their career and are starting to move into, the enjoyment phase of life where they can look at retirement. And we've got this massive gap in the middle. And the investment in training has not been there. Everyone maybe went the university route rather than the skills route, the trade skills route. So there's a whole host of things I think that needs to happen. And I do honestly believe, as much as AVK has invested a lot of money into the academy, and that's addressing our needs today and helping us build our pipeline of talent to get us where we need to be, I do honestly believe that we need to do something more collectively to actually fix the problem that we're all facing, because AVK is just one voice within the industry, and I think if we all came together and shared what we're all doing and pulled together a little more collectively, we might be able to make a bit more of an impact.
Yeah, Oli and I absolutely firmly agree with that, and there are some really brilliant initiatives that are happening. What are you seeing beyond the work that you're doing at AVK that, are you involved in any of those collective approaches?
So I'm involved with Forward, so Forum for Women in Data Centres. So I'm one of the founding members of that initiative, and that's great because that creates a safe space for women to come together to talk about, how they are forging their careers within the industry, where we feel the support needs to be, where we feel like the gaps are. They're creating a mentor scheme as well, and partnering young professionals with a more experienced professional to help them develop their careers. We've also AVK is also working with Gen+1, so looking at young talent within, we're an impact partner for them, so looking at young talent within the industry and collaborating with them to see how we can have more focus. And we also support the LEAP, which is another initiative which myself and Paul Amet support the LEAP, and that's about companies coming together collaboratively to share training materials, to create networking opportunities, etc. So where there is opportunity for AVK and the wider team to jump in and support, we are doing so. I just think we probably a more probably high level needs to come together across all of the data center companies to maybe do something a bit more impactful with government to see where we can get to.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because we're in it every day, so we all kind of feel like, the world is the kind of data center sector. But then I think for people that just aren't in that, it's still not on the radar as much, is it at all? And it's getting there. It does feel like there's a bit more awareness about it because there's more in the media, not all of it positive, but at least it's it's in the media, which is good. But then there's things like National Data Center Day, which it's gaining momentum, isn't it? I think this year will be bigger and better than last year and stuff like that. And I think if we're able to kind of link some of those ideas and bring people together where it does get a little bit more exposure beyond the sphere of the data center sector into the wider public and National Data Center Day and the government and things like that, then hopefully that just starts to raise things and we start talking about things in schools and universities and so on. So it feels like it's like we were saying before, beforehand, about people that are in that situation now at school, and all of a sudden it becomes something that they're thinking of and they're aware of, and they understand a bit about how all of our lives are kind of run by data centers really.
Yeah,
and just
I
raising
agree.
that awareness.
It is, and as I was saying earlier in the call, I found myself at that parents event getting quite frustrated that the careers offering was still very traditional. You could be a teacher, you could be a nurse, and no one was really talking about this industry that's been dubbed as the next industrial revolution. And you know, that the size of the opportunity and potential for people to move into that space is incredible, but yet teachers just aren't talking about it because they don't really know that it's there. You know, I've got people in my friendship circle that when I moved from Centrica, so British Gas Centrica, across to work for AVK, and I said, oh, they support data centers, and someone was like, what do you mean they support data centers? And even my friendship circle weren't really that aware of the data center industry, as I said, because it does kind of hide in plain sight. If you're not working in it, or you don't know anyone that does work in it, you don't see bits on the media, you probably aren't aware of the size of the opportunity that is there.
Well, it doesn't sound sexy either, does it? Data center, a center of data. I mean, it's not, it's not, the marketing of it isn't, up there. But it was interesting though, because DCW last a couple of weeks ago, I was asked to speak to, I don't know, 150 students from the University of East London about careers in data centers. And when I was preparing for the session, I literally listed, I lost count of how many professions that you can do within. I was thinking, I was even trying to think, what can you not do within a data center, in terms of like a traditional career? You can be a doctor probably within the one, they'll have occupational health, and I was thinking you probably can't be a pharmacist, but beyond that, you can pretty much do anything within that sector. So do you know Lisa Dingwall over at Equinix?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, because she's doing some really interesting work in terms of early careers, and I know that she's got a number of people from the industry that she pulls together to have a bit of collective impact. So I don't know if you're involved in any of that, but she'd definitely be somebody to speak to about that, because I think they get together quarterly or something.
Okay, I'll drop her a note.
Yeah, do, yeah. So what are you most looking ahead? Let's end on the magic crystal ball. What are you most excited about in terms of the years ahead, the future of the sector?
Oh gosh. So from an AVK perspective, the amount of projects that we've got ongoing at the moment, and as our expansion widens into Europe, I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited about the different types of opportunities that my team have got in front of them. For anyone working at AVK at the moment, the size of opportunity for them to grow and develop within our organization, never mind the industry, is incredible. And I think that's something that everyone should acknowledge, and if they've got the opportunity to jump in and take part, because it's not an industry where you need to stand still. If you've got the appetite to grow and develop and you want to further your career, then the sky's the limit, really. You just need to jump in, and that's what I'm really excited about. I'm excited about working with this incredible team that I do now currently at AVK, developing them, delivering on all of the targets that we've set out for the next 5 to 10 years, and seeing where this journey takes us, really. From an academy perspective, we want to broaden the coverage into wider AVK. We want to develop more client-facing aspects as well. We're also looking at doing a program that works with ex-forces, so like a resettlement program, because there is such a talent pipeline there that already understand quite a lot of the aspects of our industry, especially in critical power, that we can obviously then hopefully bring them in, retrain them, use that settlement period, and take advantage of that talent pool as well.
That's really exciting, and what a talent pool. If you need people that are motivated and get shit done. I mean, forces personnel, literally got the name written all over it. Have you got links to tap into that more formally?
We have. We
That's
actually
great.
have quite a few ex-forces personnel already within AVK. So Steve Jones, who's our head of technical services within the service division, he is ex-forces. I think he was Royal Engineers. If I have not got that right, and you include that, I will be in a lot of trouble.
We'll edit that out. We'll research that and edit it out if needed. That's brilliant. Well, listen, Lynsey, I've absolutely loved this conversation. Thank you so much for sharing so openly the work that you guys are doing with AVK, and I think it really highlights the range of opportunities that the sector as well as your business offers people. And I am really excited to see the snowball effect of your academy across broader areas of the business.
Thank you for inviting me. It's great to speak to you both.
Thanks,
Thank you
Lynsey,
for your
that's brilliant.
time. Thank you.